Logo animation plus Ocean SFX voiceover. Welcome to Green Earth VN, where we explore our planet, understand environmental challenges, and take action for a greener future. If you love nature and care about this planet, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Sound of crashing waves transitions to the sight of a dark, slick ocean covered in oil. An oil spill is what happens when crude oil or refined fuel is released into the environment, especially into marine areas. This accidental leakage contaminates the water on a massive scale, leading to the death of countless marine animals and devastating coastal ecosystems. It stands as one of the most destructive human-made environmental disasters our planet can face. When oil enters the ocean, it doesn't just mix with the water. It forms a thick, black layer on the surface, blocking sunlight and oxygen, and poisoning everything it touches. The consequences are immediate and can last for decades, turning vibrant marine habitats into toxic waste. The causes of these catastrophic events are almost always linked to human activity and industrial operations. One of the most significant sources is failures at offshore drilling rigs. These massive structures, designed to extract oil from deep beneath the seabed, can suffer from equipment breakdowns, explosions, or wellhead blowouts. The Deepwater Horizon disaster is a stark example of how a single failure can lead to an uncontrollable release of oil. Another major cause is accidents involving oil tankers, the colossal ships that transport crude oil across the globe. Collisions with other vessels, running aground in treacherous waters, or capsizing during violent storms can breach their hulls, spilling their entire cargo. Poor navigation and human error are often contributing factors. Furthermore, the vast network of underwater pipelines that crisscross the ocean floor poses another significant risk. Over time, these pipelines can suffer from corrosion and wear, and if not properly maintained, they can rupture and leak oil directly into the sea for extended periods before being detected. Even seemingly routine operations can go wrong. Fuel transfer accidents between ships at sea, such as during refueling, can result in smaller but still highly damaging spills if procedures are not followed with the utmost care. Each of these causes highlights the inherent dangers of our global reliance on fossil fuels and the complex infrastructure required to extract and transport them. To truly comprehend the scale of this problem, we must look at the worst oil spills in history, disasters that have left permanent scars on our planet. The Deepwater Horizon incident in the Gulf of Mexico in 2010 is perhaps the most infamous environmental disaster of the 21st century. Following an explosion on the drilling rig that tragically killed 11 workers, the wellhead on the ocean floor ruptured. For 87 consecutive days, oil gushed uncontrollably into the Gulf, releasing an estimated 780 million liters. This leak eventually covered thousands of square kilometers of ocean surface, affecting over 8,000 species of marine life, from microscopic plankton to dolphins and sea turtles. The economic fallout was immense, with damages and cleanup costs exceeding $65 billion, crippling the fishing and tourism industries along the Gulf Coast for years. A witness to the aftermath described the scene grimly. The ocean turned into a massive dead zone. The long-term ecological damage continues to unfold, a somber reminder of the risks of deep-sea drilling. Decades earlier, in 1989, the Exxon Valdez tanker ran aground on Bligh Reef in Alaska's Prince William Sound, a region renowned for its pristine wilderness and abundant wildlife. The accident tore open the ship's hull, spilling approximately 42 million liters of crude oil into the cold, clear waters. The remote location made cleanup efforts incredibly difficult, and the oil spread rapidly, coating over 2,000 kilometers of coastline. The immediate impact was devastating. An estimated 250,000 seabirds, 2,800 sea otters, hundreds of harbor seals, and countless fish perished. For the local indigenous communities, who had relied on the sea for sustenance and their livelihood for generations, the spill was an existential crisis, destroying the natural resources that formed the core of their culture and economy. The visual of beaches completely soaked in thick, black oil became an iconic symbol of environmental negligence. Across the Atlantic, another disaster struck in 2002 off the coast of Spain. The aging oil tanker, the Prestige, encountered a severe storm and began to leak. After being refused entry to Spanish and French ports, the ship broke in half and sank, releasing a significant portion of its 77,000-ton cargo of heavy fuel oil. The thick, tar-like substance washed ashore, contaminating over 1,300 kilometers of the Spanish and French coastlines with a toxic black tide. Thousands of volunteers worked tirelessly to clean the beaches, but the damage to fisheries and marine ecosystems was catastrophic. The spill triggered a massive public outcry and led to stricter regulations on single-hulled tankers in European waters. Ibn el-Ir in 1979. The Ixtoc I exploratory oil well suffered a blowout in the Bay of Campeche, Mexico. The resulting leak was relentless, spewing oil into the Gulf of Mexico for nearly 10 months before it was finally capped. It released an estimated 470 to 1,400 million liters of oil, making it one of the largest spills in history, second only to deliberate spills during the Gulf War. The oil slick traveled hundreds of kilometers, reaching the coast of Texas and causing long-term damage to marine life and coastal habitats. Decades later, some affected areas are still struggling to recover, demonstrating that the consequences of such an event can span generations. The impacts of an oil spill are devastating and far-reaching, creating a ripple effect of destruction through ecosystems and human communities. When oil blankets the water's surface, it triggers a cascade of death. Fish die in massive numbers as their gills become clogged with oil, effectively suffocating them. Sea turtles, surfacing for air, inhale toxic fumes and ingest the oil, leading to organ damage and death. For seabirds, the consequences are particularly cruel. The oil coats their feathers, destroying their natural waterproofing and insulation. Unable to fly or stay warm, they die from hypothermia or drown. Whales and dolphins, as marine mammals, suffer severe lung damage from inhaling vaporized oil and can experience long-term reproductive problems from exposure to toxins. The sea becomes a silent grave. The devastation extends beyond individual animals to entire coastal ecosystems. Mangrove forests, which serve as vital nurseries for countless marine species and protect coastlines from erosion, are highly vulnerable. The oil smothers their complex root systems, cutting off oxygen and killing the trees. Coral reefs, the rainforests of the sea, get coated in a layer of oil that blocks sunlight and smothers the delicate polyps, leading to widespread coral bleaching and death. With the foundation of these habitats destroyed, the entire food chain collapses. The loss of plankton and small fish starves larger predators, creating a barren underwater landscape where life once thrived. For humans, the consequences are just as severe. Coastal communities that depend on fishing for their livelihoods are often pushed into poverty as fish stocks are decimated or become too contaminated to sell. The tourism industry, another economic pillar for many coastal regions, crashes as beaches are closed and the reputation of the area is tarnished for years. Beyond the economic toll, there is a profound human health crisis. The toxins present in crude oil and the chemical dispersants used in cleanup efforts can cause serious health problems, including cancer, respiratory diseases, and neurological damage for cleanup workers and residents exposed to the contaminants. Given the catastrophic damage, how do we even begin to clean up an oil spill? The response is a complex, urgent, and often imperfect battle against time and nature. The first line of defense is containment. Long, floating barriers, known as oil containment booms, are deployed to encircle the slick and prevent it from spreading further. Once contained, specialized vessels called skimmer ships move in to suck the oil off the water's surface, separating it from the water. In some cases, chemical dispersants are sprayed from planes or boats onto the slick. These chemicals break the oil into smaller droplets, causing it to mix into the water column, which can reduce the immediate threat to surface-dwelling animals and coastlines. However, this method is controversial, as the dispersed oil and the chemicals themselves can be toxic to marine life beneath the surface. Another method is controlled burning, where a contained section of the oil slick is set on fire. This can remove a large amount of oil quickly, but it also releases thick plumes of toxic smoke into the atmosphere, creating another form of pollution. More innovative solutions are also being developed. Bioremediation involves using naturally occurring, oil-eating microbes to break down the hydrocarbons. Scientists can fertilize a slick to encourage the growth of these microbes. In recent years, technology has also played a role, with robots and AI-powered drones being used to detect leaks faster and monitor the spread of oil. But it is crucial to understand this warning. No cleanup method can ever recover all the oil. A significant portion will always remain in the environment. Prevention is always better than cleanup. The immense difficulty and limitations of cleanup underscore the importance of our collective responsibility to prevent these disasters from happening in the first place. So, what can we do? We can support and advocate for stronger ocean protection laws and stricter safety regulations for the oil and gas industry. We can actively promote and invest in the transition to renewable energy sources like solar and wind, which will reduce our global reliance on fossil fuels. On a personal level, we can make conscious choices to reduce our own consumption of fossil fuels. Whether through our transportation choices or energy use at home, we must also work to protect marine species and their habitats, making them more resilient to environmental stress. Finally, one of the most powerful things we can do is share environmental awareness and educate others about the risks of oil spills and the importance of ocean conservation. Every small action counts. Calm music begins with visuals of a clean, recovering ocean ecosystem. Earth doesn't need us, but we need Earth. If you care about our oceans, like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to Green Earth VN. Let's protect the ocean, protect life.